Snapchat, which means in 10 seconds we're going live on 1HEART Live with Daddy Ernie, Jaja Soze, Cat the Comedienne and Chris Chang. Woo!
Come again, 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 come again.
On the floor.
Welcome to 1HEART Live. We are part of a new channel dedicated to bringing you the best Caribbean-inspired content from around the world, yet brought to you. I'll be revealing who that is in just a few minutes. I'm Leah Charles-King, and on today's show, I've got 4 great guests for you, which includes a legendary DJ, a comedic kitty cat, and not to mention 2 community figures using their talents to shape the lives of others. Now, who are they? Well, I'll be revealing exactly who's in my hot seat in just a few. Also, find out what happened when we put 4 funny people in a room to shoot the breeze over this week's topics in a whole heap of chat. And we can't forget to tune into Home Sweet Home with Angie Le Mar later on with Shaggy. Now, is this the first time you're seeing us? Well, where have you been? Get a load of what all the fuss is about. You're tuned into 1HEART Live. I'm Leah Charles-King, and we are a brand new show which bridges the gap between you and the Caribbean. I've got Donna Fraser, I've got Quincy, and I've got Assassin on the sofa. Welcome back to 1HEART Live, 1HEART Live, 1HEART Live. Yes, we are back. I tell you what, my hot seat is going to be non-stop of this today, so get ready. All right, so straight off the bat, I'm inviting you to get in touch. We are totally live and furiously refreshing our Twitter feed in anticipation of what you have to say. So go ahead and tweet to your heart's content. At 1HEART TV on Twitter. You can also call us, you know. We do like calls in the studio, 0207 819 6460, or you can email if you fancy, which is connect@onehearttv.com. Now, over 20 years ago, my first guest was part of a major movement who changed the landscape of radio right here in the UK. Choice FM was the only legal station of its time which exclusively played black music and was a voice of the black community in Britain. For my generation, he's a bit like the nation's uncle. But yet he calls himself Daddy. Big up Daddy Ernie. Take a look at this. Yeah.
When I went down to 2 hours, I thought, well, I'm only on for 2 hours, we're going to play reggae. But within that reggae, you'd hear a Cartel, you'd hear a Mavado, you'd hear a Sanchez, you'd hear a Berry Salmon. You'd even hear an Eminem and Vibes Cartel remix.
I told you, right? He's got a lot to say. Daddy Ernie is my first guest, but not just him. My second guest was once the leader of one of the most notorious gangs in the UK, but he has become a key figure as an inspirational, creative artist, activist, and businessman. He's a nice man, actually. He now even has his very own record label. Please welcome Jaja Soze. Take a look.
Moved to Brixton, now I'm blowing up the game. Shouts to Manchester, Nottingham and Liverpool. Got me in the city showing love like everything is cool. Judge, we love your vibe, you ain't like them other fools. That's the love I get, like I don't need a tool.
Well, hello, hello, hello.
Hello, Leah. How are you?
I'm good. How are you both?
Good.
Great.
Great.
Great to be here.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Welcome to you as well, Jaja. We were just saying, actually, in that video, how good you look. You're looking good these days, isn't he, everyone? You're looking good.
I'm trying.
Daddy Ernie, you're not looking too bad yourself, darling.
You know, we try our best, you know what I mean? We could do with losing a few pounds, but we're still hanging in there.
You're looking all right. Now, of course, we mentioned Choice FM. Let's just get that out of the way straight away.
Wow.
How many years did you put into Choice as one of the leading DJs who actually started?
22.
On that?
When we
22
started.
years?
Yeah, 22 years. It was very sad when they pulled the plug on it. And it's still sad now, because, you know, one of the things, I'll tell you, one of the things we try to do now is actually get a plaque on the building in Brixton so that people know that Choice FM actually started there. it's proving difficult, but where there's a will, there's a way, and hopefully we'll get it up there, you know, because I think it's vital that the memory continues.
Absolutely, and remind us of that legacy, because there are many people, especially like the younger generation coming up, who don't really understand the institution of Choice FM.
Well, it was the first black legal radio station. You know, it came out of an era where we had what is known as community stations now. Then it was pirate radio. So we had like LWR. We had KISS, who eventually got a license as well. Solar. There was a lot of them. And Choice came out of that era, which was the sort of the 80s. And then early 90s, Choice came on there. And it really was a time where the R. Kellys, the Boys to Men, the Mary J. Bliges,
the good music,
the real serious, you know, and the Beanie Mans and the early Budgers and people like that. You know, they were really making a huge statement. Yeah. And Choice was right at the forefront of that, you know?
There you are.
I remember one night, R. Kelly done 7 nights down at the Apollo in Hammersmith. And, you know, the Evening Standard was saying, who's this R. Kelly? What's he about? Because they never knew nothing about them, you know? And that era, I think we can't afford to lose that era, because I don't think that's going to come back for now. You know?
Well, we were just discussing that before the show. Feels like we've gone back a little bit. Do you feel
not
that?
a little bit. I think we've gone back further than where we was before, and we was a long way back before then.
Before then,
you know?
absolutely.
So
absolutely.
life goes on.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it does, and we'll speak more about how life goes on and how we can change and fight the good fight.
You know that. You know.
Talking of activism, Jaja, hello, sir.
How you doing?
Great to have you here. So you obviously know the Choice days. Were you into Choice FM those days?
I grew up in Brooklyn, innit? So I was a little you listening to Choice and was thinking, well, one day I'm gonna get on that station and get my music played there. Yeah, so yeah, I grew up on Choice and the pirate stations of that era. That was the ears.
It was at that time. Now, obviously, as we know, a bit of your background. I mean, you've definitely someone who's turned their life around. But you don't mind me saying that you were the leader and founder of one of the most notorious gangs
I wouldn't say the leader, but I was one of the main people.
Main characters
of
in one of the leading, most notorious gangs in the UK. Yeah. So I don't even really want to go into that side of it in terms of the negativity. What I would like to know, though, is how have you got yourself out of that?
Well, I just, you know, it's been obviously a long road.
What was your inspiration?
One of them was I went to prison and I've met one of the elder lot that I used to grow up kind of wanting to be like, and he's doing a life sentence. He was doing a life sentence at the time. Wow. And then he just was talking to me and I was just thinking, I don't really want to be like this guy. I'm saying he had all the girls, the cars at that time back in the days, but now the end story was not the result I wanted. So I was thinking, nah, that kind of lighted the spark. Right. And then from there, this was a whole different journey.
So you came out from meeting him, because you looked up to him, I guess, at some point. Yeah. You so happened to meet him in prison. He's told you what the negative aspects and said, don't go down that road. Is that right?
So he just said, you know what, these are the aspects of it. This is the outcome of it. This is what I done. And he was like notorious, and this is the outcome. Wow. He's on a life sentence. He ain't seen his kids and everything. And so he just said, you know, it was what can you use? What can you utilize now that you can go out there and kind of change? And I was thinking for long. The only thing I had at that time was us and our friends and my crew. And I said, well, PDC. And then I was thinking, well, how am I gonna now change this? And then everyone's like, oh, you can't turn the crew, like, you lot can't turn that into a limited company. And I think, no way. And then,
how old were you when this actually, in your day, in your active years, I should say?
The PDC stuff, I went to prison first when I was like 16 for a bank robbery. So kind of like all that PDC stuff was from like, say, 14 to like 22. Wow. 23, and then that's when I came out of prison the second time, and that's it. I just said, you know what, I'm gonna change the whole format of it. If you're the local drug dealer, is gonna be a graphic designer now, and you're gonna be this, and I started giving everyone job titles.
You know what? That is. I mean, I'm glad you're laughing as well, right? Because that sounds crazy, doesn't it? And I mean, it is. It sounds crazy. amazing. And I'm not, you understand,
so
I'm not
it is,
laughing at you, but I'm like, that is so innovative that you just came out and went, do you know what? You're going to do graphics, you're going to do that. And you started giving people roles within the group. Were they, how susceptible were they to this? Were they on it with you?
Yeah, obviously, because everyone had their own little talents as well. So there was like, I said, what can you do? I can do this. Okay, you're going to do that. What can you do? I can, I've done a sound engineering course before. I was doing robberies, and I said, okay, you're going to be the sound engineer. We can get the producers and everything together. And some people was like, nah, I ain't got nothing to do. I'm staying on the road. And like they end up going back to prison and doing like longer sentences. But the majority went into like into the record company, into I set up a youth not-for-profit company. So I went into that. So everyone else went into like different kind of job
Everyone
titles.
went into a completely different. Well, and that is PDC, right?
PDC, yeah.
And was that the name of the gang?
Yeah, so it was at first started from Pilgrim Crew. That's a Jamaican term for like robbing or taking away, and that's what we was eventually. That's the first name. Then we kind of changed it to Pray Days Change, Please Don't Cry. We started adding a lot of titles onto it, like progression over the years and adding different titles to it, and then now it's PDC Music Label. That's the label that we run under. That we do everything under,
We'll talk more about your label. I'm loving that. That's really cool, isn't it? So obviously, how do you feel as a DJ who inspired young people and still continues that you're sort of growing? You're growing with that generation. Do you find people like myself that go, I listened to you growing up?
Oh, all the time, you know? And sometimes I think, boy, was it really that long ago? And I said, it weren't that long ago, really, because I'm still doing it, you know? But I think, you know, it was kind of very fortunate to be there. It was one of those moment in time things, you know? And to sort of go on the street or do parties and say, yeah, is that Daddy Ernie? I used to listen to you. I grew up with you. You got me through my college, or you got me through my exams or anything. I think, fantastic. It was great. It was a great
brilliant.
experience.
It's good to have people loving what you do and loving your music as well. And we'll talk a bit more about that. And listen, coming up in the next, well, in part 2, I've got Daddy Ernie's top 5 songs, which I'm really excited about, and also Jaja's as well. So keep your emails and your tweets coming in, and we'll be seeing you in part 2.